Welcome back. It's time for Media Watch on France 24, a roundup of the highlights from the press. James Creedon is here with me with all that. Hi, James.
Good evening, Anna.
And the focus today is really on the situation in Libya. The big question is not just where is Muammar Gaddafi, but also who's trying to find him.
That's right. Now,
who's helping?
Yesterday we were looking basically at the role of the media in relaying events in Libya back to, I suppose, people in the West and elsewhere. And I suppose one thing that's clear is we're seeing a lot of pictures of rebels and they're very much being placed centre stage. But I suppose what's also worth looking at is what are we not seeing? What are the pictures that are not being shown? And who are the actors that we're not being perhaps made aware of to the extent that we're being told about the rebels' involvement? So if we look at the Daily Telegraph, they're talking, this is in the UK, they're talking about SAS leading the hunt for Gaddafi. Now, the SAS would be
British
the
Special Forces.
Exactly. Now, the 22 SAS regiments have been guiding rebel soldiers, according to this article yesterday evening in the Telegraph. The British Defence Forces has confirmed that the SAS has been present on the ground in Libya for several weeks, and that they played a key role in coordinating the fall of Tripoli, and that basically the SAS soldiers have been dressed in Arab civilian clothing and carrying the same weapons as the rebels. So even if you do happen to see an SAS guy in some, France 24 or Rolling News Channel footage, you probably wouldn't recognise him. So it's pretty less James Bond, I suppose, and more thrown together rebel in civilian clothing type look. Now, also in the French papers, they're talking about this in Le Point. This defence expert by the name of Jean Guinel, he's basically saying British and French special forces are on the ground in Libya and have been on the ground for quite some time. He points to a New York Times article where a NATO source confirmed to the New York Times that there are special forces operations which they described as fairly extensive. Le Monde has said that there are some 100 special forces on the ground, French, British, Qatari and United Arab Emirates for the past 6 months.
And it's surprising that we're getting official confirmation of this. The idea going into Libya from NATO was no ground forces at all. That was
Absolutely.
One of the
Indeed.
Of the starting conditions.
It was just airstrikes, and I suppose the West was worried about the catastrophic result of what soldiers on the ground in Western uniforms, what those pictures would mean, especially in the context of the Arab Spring. It just was not something that the Western public sentiment or indeed the Arab public sentiment would accept. But in any case, I suppose it all comes down to the pictures that you see, because it seems that they are present on the ground.
But no soldiers, though, special forces, it seems,
exactly.
undercover.
And many in this article in the Nouvel Observateur, the writer is basically talking about a new an NCT spokesman who said that NATO forces were involved in in Operation Siren, which was the operation that brought down Gaddafi's compound, as well as the anti-Gaddafi forces. So there you go. A lot of focus, I suppose, after the immediate events of the Battle of Tripoli, as to who the actors were and to what extent the West was really involved.
And what's happening behind the scenes there. And what's being said about Gaddafi's whereabouts? There's a massive manhunt underway right now.
I suppose that is really the question that's on everybody's lips today. And the Nouvel Observateur is looking into this as well. They're saying it's most likely perhaps that he's in Sirte. That's his hometown on the Mediterranean coast. He has a very broad network of supporters in Sirte. Also many members of the Gaddafi tribe from which he originates. Others suspect that he could be in the centre or in the south, in the desert, possibly in the oasis of Tragan, where you have a lot of Tuareg tribes who could perhaps still have a degree of loyalty to Gaddafi. The former deputy of Gaddafi's regime, Abdesalem Jaloud, said that if he is still in Tripoli, as Gaddafi sort of more or less said he was in that radio address that he issued on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, if he is, basically there's only one outcome, death. So he's very pessimistic about his chances if he is in Tripoli.
All right, and Vanity Fair has a piece about Muammar Gaddafi's whereabouts as well.
This is sort of more satirical. Where's Gaddafi? A topical new game for children of all ages.
Sort of a Where's Waldo?
Exactly. Where's Waldo?
Oh, there he is,
Charlie. And it's a little bit less. It's a little bit easier, I think, than Where's Waldo or Where's Wally, because it's pretty obvious. It's pretty easy to find him, I think, in pretty much every single photo. There he is peeking in from behind a flag in that
Those
one.
are somewhat comical if it weren't for the background of the actual news and the actual search underway.
There you go.
There are lots of fun articles as well about everything that's being found in Muammar Gaddafi's compound that's been looted over the past 48
hours. That's right.
Hours.
And in particular, these extraordinary photos that have been picked up by the Italian press, Corriere della Sera, of a Cinquecento, kind of a special Cinquecento Fiat car that he had delivered from Fiat to mark the 40th anniversary of the so-called revolution, Gaddafi's revolution. So it cost €200,000. It was in the colour green after his infamous Green Book. It had been kitted out with all sorts of special sort of details, such as instead of the Fiat sign, you have this sign, which is the sign of the Jamahiriya, the sun kind of shining out from Libya, and 3 of his green books. The doors had been kitted out so that he could get in with his robes. They had been enlarged. You can see here with sort of wooden trimming.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. And so he used to use that inside his massive compound to drive around through tunnels to get from A to B, an electric car, and cost some 200,000 euros.
I've also read reports of a Lamborghini being found in there.
So
not quite a Fiat 500.
Lots of little toys. And of course, these are now sort of becoming war trophies, and people, you can see here, people driving it out onto the streets of Tripoli. Also, even more bizarrely, a photo album of Condoleezza Rice. This is really peculiar.
Did he have a fan there? It's possible.
He seems to have been a fan of her, and he once apparently commented to Al Jazeera about her, saying in a 2007 interview that I support my darling black African woman. So he seems to have been quite the fan of Condoleezza Rice.
And some street art as well about Libya.
That's right. So these, I suppose, for the past 40 years, Libya has been full of posters of a youthful and powerful-looking Muammar Gaddafi. And now, over the last number of months, you're seeing an increasing number of, I suppose, paintings in the street. This one is in Benghazi in Revolution Square. You can see on the top left Muammar and his son Saif al-Islam in the guise of a lion. I forgot to mention earlier that green car, the Fiat. To start it up, you didn't need a key at all. There was a little lion symbol that you just had to stroke it or caress it, and the car started up. A little detail in his Fiat. This is another one with, you can see the revolutionary flag on this boot kicking Muammar Gaddafi. So lots of street art. This isn't all in the past few days. It's over the last number of weeks and months across
and it's part of the changing
cities.
face of Libya, I suppose.
Exactly, street art across Libya.
All right, well, thanks very much for that roundup from the international press. That was James Creedon with Media Watch. Do stay with us on France 24. Up next is Web News, a roundup of the top internet content creating buzz today. Stay tuned.
France 24 on your iPad. Keep up to date on international news in real time, whether you're at home or on the move. France 24's worldwide coverage now on your iPad. Reports from the field, debates, interviews, accessible anywhere, anytime, and it's all free. France 24 on the iPad. The news, wherever and whenever you want it.